What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. Alright, so, before I get into this video, I want to give a big shout out to the brother Aram for the donation and a question for Too Raw for TV. Shout out to Aram for the donation via the PayPal. He has a question for me. And like I said, the answers I give are not concrete. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. We are talking different eras, but would Bob Mcadoo be more dominant in today's era over Joel Embiid with access to the three-point line, which Mcadoo did not have? Now, are you asking me, would he be more offensively dominant? It's hard to say. It's hard to say. I mean, the game is different than when he played in some ways, a lot of ways actually. I think it's the consensus that it's easier to score. Bigs can't stay in the paint like they used to, so certain aspects of McAdoo's game would be very beneficial to him. Mcadoo was a tremendous mid-range shooter, but he was not statistically a great three-point shooter. Let's look if I can find some of those numbers. So Bob Mcadoo was 6'9", 210 pounds, played the center and power forward position. Back in those days, they didn't measure you on your shoes. So if today he'd be 6'9", and he'd probably be a little bit bigger than he was back then, with nutrition and things. So I guess he'd be like 6'10" and 225 maybe. So one thing he would have an advantage in is that he would be smaller. He wouldn't be big. One of the problems that Joel Embiid has is that especially because of the way the game is played now, it's a faster paced game. So Joel Embiid, being a bigger guy, he tends to break down oftentimes during the regular season, and that contributes to his less than all-star, or even less than superstar, or even all-star level play in the postseason. That wouldn't have been an issue with Bob Mcadoo. So Bob Mcadoo, for his career, he played in 852 games, averaged 22.1 points, 9.4 rebounds, 2.3 assists. Now, of course, big men back then, they didn't average many assists because usually when they got the ball, it was to score. Offense didn't really run through them in that regard. Bob Mcadoo shot 50.3% from the floor, only 8% from downtown, 75.4% from the free throw line. A career average PER rating of 20.7, which indicates that he was a perennial all-star. His best years were from 1973 to 1979. During that 6-year span, Mcadoo averaged an incredible 29.1 points, 12.8 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.2 steals, 1 block. Excuse me. Let me start over. 29.1 points, 12.8 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.2 steals, 2 blocks per game on 52% shooting from the floor and 75% from the foul line. It stands to reason that for a guy as good a shooter as Mcadoo, that he would be a pretty good three-point shooter. How good? I don't know. It's hard to say. One of the best indicators to me as far as shooting is concerned that I've noticed, like as far as looking at some of the older guys, aside from footage or whatever, one of the best statistical indications of how good a shooter you are is free throw percentage. Usually. I've noticed that players who tend to shoot 87%, 86, 87% and higher tend to be good outside shooters. They tend to be good shooters. It's just something that you notice. The great shooters, they're always great foul shooters. Mcadoo, that's pretty average, 75%, but for a big man, that's pretty good. I mean, I suspect that he'd be a good three-point shooter in today's league. It's easier to score. If he averaged 29.1 points per game without a three-point line during his peak years, then it stands to reason that he could at least replicate what Joel Embiid is doing. It stands to reason. If he took 4 threes a game or 5 threes a game, and he knocks down 1.5 or 1.8 or whatever threes, what is that? What is that? Almost an extra 2 points a game. So yeah, it stands to reason that he could at least replicate what Joel Embiid doing. Joel, however, is a lot bigger and stronger than Bob Mcadoo ever was. Bob Mcadoo was quicker. Probably had, I know for a fact, had a lot more endurance. He led the NBA in minutes twice. And during that little, matter of fact, he had 4 different seasons where he averaged over 40 minutes a game. So his endurance was great in a comparable era as far as pace. So yeah, I think Bob Mcadoo would do just fine in today's NBA. That's also assuming a lot of different things. You're assuming that everything else happens the same as it did back then. We can't say. Does Bob Mcadoo go to college in North Carolina? Is he similar to other players today where the fundamentals are lacking? So a lot of different things you got to look at. But if you're taking everything as the same, right? Like if you're taking that Bob Mcadoo from 1971 and you're implanting him in today's NBA, and he has to learn all of the rule changes and all of that, and learn the game because the basketball will be so far different from what he was accustomed to. There will probably be a learning curve. There will probably be a period of transition and some struggles for him, perhaps. But ultimately, yeah, I don't see why he couldn't be one of the best offensive players in today's NBA. Because another thing that you got to look at is he wouldn't have to go up against for the most part, except for Jokic and Embiid, he wouldn't have to go up against so many big, large, imposing, strong guys. But anyway, that's all I got to say about that in this particular video. Tell me what you guys think.